Another procedure for breaking in a new pipe chanter reed that is recommended by many of the reed makers is to take the new dry reed and just dip it in water up to the wrapping for a couple of seconds, pulling the reed out, removing a great majority of the moisture, and then coming in and blotting it dry with a piece of paper towel or cloth. At this time, the reed will actually absorb some of the moisture, soften the cane, so when you are breaking the reed in, the softer cane will break in a little quicker. You only want to do this 2 or 3 times to a new reed before you start playing the reed dry. But it's a nice little trick to softening the reed and easing the reed up for the initial break-in period. When the chanter reed dries out, it becomes ineffective and does not produce the proper sound for playing. Eventually, it will come back to life with the moisture from your natural playing. The sound of the reed at this point is ineffective, and it is not an airtight reed. By coming back to this water up to the wrapping, letting it soak for a second, blotting the reed, and then letting it sit, the reed will swell back up. Automatically, this reed has already come back to life. After another minute or 2, it would be back to where the maker had originally made it, and this reed would be ready for being broken in. Many new chanter reeds, after the initial break-in period has begun, will develop what is called a crow on high A, slightly on high G. There was a day a crow on a reed showed the quality of a reed, which was something that people look for because it had some cane in the sound box. The crow, I'll demonstrate here the sound of. That's a fairly heavy crow, and what we want to do is we want to remove that or tame this reed down. There's a couple of procedures for getting this done. One is a procedure that's best done by someone who is an experienced reed user, but one way of doing it is to take a 300-400 grit sandpaper and having the reed at a 45-degree angle, very slowly drag it across the blades to try to sand and finish the edge grain of the blades on the reed. This one's a little dangerous because you're dealing with sandpaper. Once you sand off, you could kill or ruin the quality of a particular reed. It's not one that a procedure we use here at Henderson's, but the one we like to do for removing a crow is the thumbnail. What we do is the grain that is in your thumbnail, we like to take the reed and slightly rub it on the back of your thumbnail, and essentially what we're doing here is we're burnishing the end grain of the cane. You want to do this very carefully. You don't want to nick any of the edges on the reed. There, we have cleaned up the crow off this high A. As you play this reed, moisture will get into the reed again, and that crow may come back again. So for 2 or 3 days as you break a reed in, to come back and continually burnish the end grain, eventually the crow will be removed from the reed, and you should not see the crow come back in the lifetime of that particular reed. See if we have one more. A little bit of a crow there. It's not as heavy as the last reed. Just a slight burnishing on the back side of the thumbnail. Being very careful here. Clearing up any crow on high A. Using some of these skills and tips will help you break in your new pipe chanter reeds. A little bit of patience, will go a long way to breaking in good quality reeds that can last you for months, even years.